What's up, Big 12 Nation? It is Tuesday night during championship week in America. That can mean only one thing. It's time for another edition of your favorite YouTube-centric Big 12 college football themed show. That's right. It's the one, it's the only. It is the biggest 12 with me, your host, Clint Foster. Wherever you are, thanks so much for making us a part of your Tuesday night, where we're going to be talking all things Big 12 championship, a rematch between the Mormons and the Matadors, BYU and Texas Tech. Can the Cougs get the better of Tech in round two, or is it going to be same song, different verse? We'll talk all about it with some great guests. Also, we'll talk a little bit about exciting coaching news, Dope and Gope, of course, and a little bit of bowl projection fun with a biggest 12 spin on it. So we will get to all of that, but first, you know what? I need something from you, ladies and gentlemen. I need you to subscribe to the show. We are so very close. I'm going to keep saying how close we are to 1,000 subscribers. The countdown continues. You can see it down there at the bottom of the screen, running along the bottom there, at Big 12 BOCFB. That's at Big 12 BOCFB. Last time I checked, I was 11 away, and we're still 11 away. Okay, so I need 11 of y'all, or 11 of your friends, to subscribe to the show. Help us make this a movement. Y'all, I cannot stress to you enough how important and how helpful it will be to me if we can get to 11 subscribers on the show, right? For starters, I'll start getting paid. Okay, so that's something that, I'd very much like that. That'd be great if you could do that for me. Christmas, birthday present for me. I would love that. So please help me make that happen. Anyway, that's enough podcast business for tonight, I believe. So without further ado, let me bring in my first guest, who is my perma guest. Dare I say my co-host? I'm willing to call him that. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what, we love him. It's Brownie from all the way up there in Iowa. I'm of Red Barn Brewing, by the way. Shameless plug. Brownie, how we doing on this Tuesday night?
Drinking some lovely cider donut pop, according to FedEx.
Listen, y'all do not understand if you've never had the pleasure of imbibing Red Barn Brewing. Or Barntown. Barntown. It's a Red Barn, and I'm a Tyler Childers fan. I get confused. Okay, Barntown Brewing. They have all of these like deliciously flavored beers. I mean, this is cider donut. I mean, I've had peanut butter and jelly sandwich on Saturday. We've had Hawaiian punch. Yes, caramel blueberry apple, blueberry muffin. For God's sake. Y'all do not know what you're missing. If you're ever in Iowa, or if you know Brownie well enough, and you can, give him a kiss on the cheek, try Barntown Brewing. It's very delicious. They're not even sponsoring me. Maybe they should. Hey, Barntown, if you want to sponsor me, let's make this happen. I'm interested in getting paid for my time. Okay, so Bomber's going to be joining us a little bit later. We will see if we get a Texas Tech guest. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. Maybe that's an omen for Saturday. But before we get into any of that, Ronnie, there's a lot of coaching news that me and you were talking about before this show got a rolling. Before we even get into Dope and Cope, let's share some of the breaking news with the folks. Kalani Sitake is staying in Provo. Your thoughts, Brownie?
LDS has a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And I think that they are scratching themselves trying to figure out how to spend it. And I think they realized how to spend it.
Yep. And Penn State, can you imagine how horrible that James Franklin decision looks in hindsight, man? They didn't have a plan is the problem.
They didn't have a plan, and I think literally Penn State was just going off of the good old like Bear Bryant recruiting thing with or even Schellenberger, where he would leave his corncob pipe and be like, "Oh, sorry, left it," even though he had like 500 of them. They just assumed that, "Hi, we're Penn State. You're going to be our coach." And people say yes. And unfortunately, SEC has money, and SEC like schools know what they want. And if number one falls through, number two is not leaving. Like they very well structured, and it's always wild to me that they I understand firing James Franklin. Like he butchers it in big game situations. He hasn't won any big games or anything like that. But you're telling me that you didn't have a backup plan for this?
Mm-hmm.
Now you might be
Yeah.
going into next year with a shit recruiting class, a shit transfer class, an interim head coach who probably will not be there for next year. So you're not going to have other people commit to you. You're potentially looking at a blue blood like self implode
Oh
overnight.
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and all because I mean, hey, like you said, if you're going to fire your coach in the first third of the season, but you damn well better have a plan. Okay, you better know who you're going to go get, and you better have a plan to go get them fast. Because you talk about them imploding. I want to share with y'all, if you haven't heard, I know this is a Big 12 show, but this is valuable information. Penn State currently, I mean, what? So National Signing Day is what, tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Right? It's tomorrow. Penn State has 5 commits. 5. Everyone else has gone to Virginia Tech. 4 4-stars somehow, and 1 3-star. They have the 129th ranked recruiting class on 247. This is how you implode a program, like you said. I mean, it's just like it's almost like self-imposed sanctions because you didn't have a freaking plan, and you thought that you could outspend this guy's team right here, Bomber. How you doing now that Columbus, Kentucky is staying in Provo for the long haul?
Oh boy, the last 48 hours have not been fun, I gotta say.
I did
But
not
you've got
lose any
crumble
faith
cookies
in
on
you
your
guys.
side, so now it's
Yeah.
fun.
Say that again. I didn't catch that. What's that?
I said, but you've got crumble cookies on your side, so now it's fun,
Sure,
right?
we've
Yeah,
got more than crumble cookies, my friend.
yeah.
What's the
We've
nutrition
got
grade too,
several.
right?
Yeah, right.
That guy came in. LDS probably backed up their Brinks truck.
Yeah, we've got like 5 or 6 that we could call on. It happens to be that the crumble guy is the most, open for this particular case. But normally they deal with this stuff behind the scenes. We rarely hear about it on the front end. So it just happened to be that this was one that was publicly discussed. And if it wasn't for a loose lips from somebody that sort of let this release into the wild, I'm not sure we ever would have known. And probably Kalani's on his way to Penn State right now. So it's one of those circumstances where you got to look maybe to a higher power on how that news leaked out. But I am very, very excited about it. So
If there are two schools that I would not want to get into a bidding war with, it'd be BYU and Texas Tech.
they're a couple. Yeah, they're a couple. Certainly in the Big 12, they got to
Yeah.
be at the top. Yeah.
Speaking of which, Texas Tech, that other team in the Big 12 championship game, they're hanging on to their coach as well, Joey McGuire, a 7-year extension. Boys, is 7 years stupid? Is that too long? What do you think?
I think it's too
I
long.
I think every year you're year to year. The contract might say X, but honestly, let's be perfectly frank. These coaches, if they're successful and they keep winning, they will renegotiate their contracts. And if not, then you'll see every year you will have 1 or 2 very choice openings that will come along. Certainly in the SEC and the Big Ten, that would be able to pick and choose what they want to get into. And so you need to stay ahead of this. And if there's a lesson to be learned, and I don't know if TCU deals with this at all, but if there's a lesson to be learned, it's that you can't get behind. You can't let it get to a point where the coach is even willing to take phone calls because you're so far behind. And I think that's what was really shocking in this particular case at BYU is I certainly didn't have a handle on how far upside down the salaries were for the coaches, let alone the head coaches. Come to find out that BYU was behind on both counts by a pretty good margin. And once that again made it out to the public sphere, all of a sudden people are standing up left and right to help. So you cannot get behind on these things because your coach will be gone in the middle of the night.
Well, you ask if TCU has to worry about this sort of thing. The answer is no, because Gary
Because you
Patterson.
have Sonny Dykes.
Well, yeah. So Gary Patterson was loyal to a fault. He wanted to continue building what he was building. He wouldn't take phone calls, and nobody's calling Sonny Dykes. So we don't have to worry.
I mean,
Yeah.
as somebody that has a coach that has been on the rumor mill of leaving every single year, like it's interesting because we definitely do not have the budget to compete with everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
Matt Campbell has specifically made salary cuts instead of increases to keep his coordinators around
Right.
from taking other jobs. So, I mean, we're kind of in role reversal here. Like, Matt Campbell's probably one of the least paid Big 12 football coaches again because he took another pay cut so he could pay his coordinators from evacuating. But
Why has he
it's
decided
weird.
to do that? Why hasn't he decided to just move on? What's keeping him around
Culture.
to sort of sustain those things? Is it culture? Okay.
Yep. I think there's a mutual respect between him and our athletic director, Jamie Pollard. I know
Okay.
that they don't always see eye to eye, but Matt Campbell is very much a look at what I can do with the resources that I'm doing it with.
Right.
And realistically, like his dream job still to this day is Ohio State, which until that opens up, I don't think that there's a lot of concern in our fan base that he's going away because his wife has been very vocal throughout the community that their kids are happy there. She is happy there. Like, yeah, it's pretty far away from Ohio where the rest of their family is. And the only way to uproot him is for him to get closer to Ohio. So, like, the Penn
Okay.
State job does slightly scare me in a sense because Penn State can probably pay for him as well as all the coordinators, like tenfold what Iowa
Right.
State could.
Right.
But it's more of does he really want that added pressure? Does he want to uproot basically his wife and go to Penn State? So I think that's realistically the only thing that's holding us with Matt Campbell right now is
Okay.
the culture portion and Ohio State not being open. Because if Ohio State calls, he's gone. I can guarantee that.
My appeal to Matt Campbell is also the title of a Bowling for Soup song. Ohio, come back to Texas. That would be
Okay.
better. Okay. Okay.
I like it. I like it.
And with that, let's go on to Dope and Cope, our Dope and Cope for this past week. Gentlemen, you know how to play the game. For those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, Dope and Cope is where we talk about something from the past week of Big 12 football or, just college football in general that we thought was extremely dope, very cool. We're excited about it, and something either us or someone else is coping over because of how terrible it was. Brownie, would you like to lead us off?
Sure. I think my dope for the week is actually all the Big 12 coaches getting paydays and not leaving. I know it's kind of a breaking news kind of thing that just recently happened, but I'm actually really happy that we were able to keep uh, everybody around instead of having to deal with, oh, BYU lost their head coach. Now they're going to have to backfill because I think that they have the pieces to be a national championship contender down the road. And if their boosters are willing to pay for Sataki to be there, like, sky's the limit. Uh, Not so sure about McGuire still. I definitely don't think he's a developmental coach, but obviously he did good enough to bring in a lot of random and spare pieces to make themselves into the college football playoff conversation. So at least that's a positive. I also love that Sonny Dykes and Dave Aranda are going to be sticking around for one more year too. So good job to Baylor and TCU for laying down the fort. Um, I think it's just fun when you have the consistency factor, where now the Big 12 conference can be like, hey, look it, we have all these top tier coaches. They had offers from the SEC, they had offers from the Big Ten, and they said no. Like, that just supports what the Big 12 is currently trying to do in, like, that, I hate even saying it, but like the catch up mode, like, we're not the P2 SEC Big Ten. But again, this is something that's amazing because now we can say, hey, we have multiple coaches that turn down big time jobs to stay in our conference. So that to me is really, really dope because
Yeah.
you don't get that very often. Loyalty to a fault is very rare in this modern day and age when money and NIL is involved. And honestly, I think that my cope right now is Penn State. Like,
Yeah.
they are legitimately falling apart. And I mean, I can play this on repeat every single day of the week, but again, James Franklin, you fire him. You have absolutely zero plan. He gets hired from Virginia Tech in the middle of the season, and all of his recruits flip. Like, that is insane. You're not going to have much of a recruiting class. You're not going to have much of a transfer class. Now you're potentially looking at an interim head coach if you can't find anybody permanent. And even if you do find somebody permanent, it's not going to be an A-tier coach anymore. Like,
Right.
you're going to potentially be taking a G5 up-and-coming coach that might have the potential. And at Penn State, in 3 years, if he's not winning, he's also out. So now you just set your program back 4 additional years. And I think it's starting to become a thing where blue bloods can no longer just go off of name recognition. Like, you have to have something. And I know, like, Bomber talked about this last week for Morris leaving, right? It's all about the package deal, right?
Yeah.
What you bring to the next school. Well, you're now to the point you're not going to get anything.
Yeah.
You're going to have to implode. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of schools are not going to be able to come back from that. So Penn State is going to have to understand that and give whatever coach that they find a few years, including as much NIL help as they possibly can get to even try to come out of the freaking basement of the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rough stuff. Bummer, you're dub and cope.
Well, cope would be Ole Miss and this conversation over whether they should get a playoff spot or not. I'm of the mind that because of the calendar, you're forced into this move. But does that mean that the team should be, penalized for that? I personally would like that because it would help BYU, but not from a holistic standpoint. That's not nice, right? That you shouldn't be put in a position as a fan to where you've earned your way through 12 games to get to this point where you can be in a playoff, and then to have your coach, because of this crazy calendar that we have with the early recruiting day, and have to have all those ducks in a row by the end of this week. It's pretty crazy that you're forced into a move like that because of it. So that, from a cope standpoint, that's where my thoughts were when it came to where we need to overcome going into this next week.
I'll tell you what.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if the College Football Playoff Committee had any integrity at all, they would keep Ole Miss out of the playoff, because if an undefeated Florida State
that's right
is not the same team without their quarterback.
Yeah. But they won't do that because it's the SEC and it's Ole Miss.
Thank you, Bomber. I said the exact same thing.
I said if they had any integrity. Not that they do have any integrity.
Just to go off of what Brownie's just saying, my biggest concern wasn't even about losing Kalani. Kalani's a fantastic coach and certainly a leader man and somebody that I would not want to lose. What's the bigger fear about losing your coach to an upward hire is that he can take everybody with him. He can take all the next recruits that are going to be coming in that he recruited. He takes all of the coaches that he wants to take with him, including some that maybe even aren't on your staff. They would be taken from other places. And that was the bigger fear, is that the dismantling of a program that's worked very hard to get to where it's at. Going to be in a championship game this week. And that process could have started tomorrow. And so that was probably the bigger fear from an institutional standpoint, that I had no idea, and I think most people didn't know the pay disparity that both he and his staff were under. Now all those things have been revealed, and now people know how far upside down the staff has been, and they're not going to let that happen again. The AD has had some of its power oversight over the football team taken away. Kalani's been given almost unfettered control of the program, as it should have been all along. I didn't realize that wasn't already the case. And now we're going to be in a position where anything that changes is going to have to go through him, get more money for NIL, all these things. And so I think that's probably the bigger concern going forward is with these A4 schools is you lose your coach. You're not just turning over your coach, you're turning over entire staffs and players. And that's crippling to any program. As you just said, Penn State lost everybody and the recruiting class is nobody, and that's wholly because they fired a coach that I mean, could we think of a more impulsive action that I can't think of anyone in real life that was more reactionary than the Penn State firing? And they're paying the price now, and I feel bad for Penn State.
Giving Mike Gundy an indefinite contract?
Maybe. I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know what they're gonna do. It's sad though. It shouldn't come to that. There ought to be. God, there's got to be better ways that we can handle those types of things. To say they can take a program and dismantle it as they leave a program, I think is just wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Could make coaches start signing non-compete clauses, like what a
Maybe.
lot of major corporations do.
Yeah, there might be some controls there. I don't know the law of those well enough to understand if they would be binding.
Oh, they're terrible.
But
not a lot of them get held up in court. But
that's what I thought. I didn't think many of those things really held teeth.
It's only really if like you have like a startup or something like that, and then you make that a multi-million-dollar company, and it was a competitive like market to what you previously left. I think that's really the only time that they get held up. But like non-compete clauses are shit. So
Okay.
Well, I got some breaking news for us, and honestly, it's probably going to be my cope. The college football playoff rankings have Texas at 13, which, you'd say, oh, hey, outside looking in, that's not so bad. But I think they are setting themselves up very clearly right here for if and when BYU loses, then you bump Texas up into 12, and maybe you just keep the ACC. You either keep the ACC out altogether or you make it Miami, right? And F them for this. Like, F them all the way for this. Like, no 3-loss team belongs in any playoff point blank period.
Wasn't Saban's team 9-3 when they got into?
But didn't they wait? Did they win the SEC championship, or were they not in the SEC championship?
I don't think that they were. I think
and they shouldn't have been in. They shouldn't have been in.
Yeah, I can't fully remember what year that was. I'm gonna have to fact check myself.
All I know is it's wrong what they're doing to BYU. And all I can imagine is that this should have started weeks ago. Brett Yormark has been nowheresville in this conversation. And it's really important that I think he's going to use BYU as the stick, the leverage to demand change. Well, whether that's CFP change or if it's change to the conference itself. I don't know what they're going to do to try to make this right in the future, but BYU is not going away anytime soon. So they're going to need to do something next year to stop this from being a one and done conference. And I put this all at Brett Yormark's feet. He was the one that said win it on the field, all that fun stuff, and yet he continues to be slapped around and used like a chew toy. And nobody else is making apologies, and he seems to think he's in some, miraculous purple world that gives them the ability to solve that problem from the outside. I do not see that happening. And if it's not BYU this year, it'll be probably BYU next year. And it's a broken system. And win it on the field could not have been the more dumb mantra than I've ever heard of in my life. I didn't like it at the moment he said it, and it just has gotten worse over time.
Yeah, Dishfish is right too. We've seen this crap play out before with it's nothing new. Trying to take advantage of the Big 12. My dope and cope were gonna both be TCU. But since now I made my cope that Texas ranking, I'll go ahead and make my dope TCU. Hey, Frogs played their best game against Cincinnati since the North Carolina game. It was a complete victory. Josh Hoover had more touchdowns than incompletions. Jeremy Payne and the run game were unstoppable. The defense played well against a solid Cincinnati team. Of course, if I'm going to cope, the cope is, well, where the hell was that all season? Right?
Yeah.
Like, why did we only do that at the first and last game when it didn't matter at all? But that's a whole other conversation that I've complained about plenty on this channel. And I'm sure I will do later. But yes, hey, things are great. The Frogs beat Cincinnati. We won 8 games. Hooray. And yes, Dishfish, I know you want me to talk about it. I did get a replica Alamo Bowl championship ring from a former swim coach at TCU as a thank you for my documentary. So that, yes, I'm not wearing it right now.
There you go. I love it. Yes, I love it. That's great.
Very fun. And yes, lightning delays are also a cope. We don't a fourth lightning delay in TCU's home season during that Cincinnati game.
Hey,
Okay,
Dishfish,
yes.
can I get your ornament?
We didn't get one. So I sat with Dishfish this past weekend, and they were all gone by the time both of us were in there. So yeah, I know.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I even went in earlier than I usually do, and they were nowhere to be found. So
that's some grade A malarkey, because I really wanted that ornament, and I knew Dishfish was going to hook a brother up.
I know. Bomber, we got your dope, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I think so. I thought I said, yeah.
It's Tuesday. It's been a long week already.
Yeah, I hear that. Definitely.
Okay.